Hi everyone, John here from All Miniatures Great and Small, and today we're doing another unit overview. This time we're looking at the Elefant, a massive anti-tank gun out of the new German Bagration book. So this is the first time the Elefant has shown up. We did have the Ferdinand previously, but the Elefant is really a refinement of that. Now, what is the Elefant? It is just a beast of a tank. It is, pretty much one of the first super German tanks that shows up in the game. We're still waiting on things like the King Tiger, the Jagd Tiger, monster tanks like that. But these guys are very intimidating. So in the German Bagration book, they are about 15 points apiece. You can, I think one is 15. If you take two, it's 29. There's a slight discount for you. But that's a lot of points. You take two of them, it's almost a third of your army. But what are you getting for that points investment? Well, let's start with the armor because that's pretty impressive. You have a front armor of 16. Yeah, 16 front armor. So immediately your tank is impervious to pretty much anything firing at it from the front. There is very few things that get up into that anti-tank 17 or higher until you get into Team Yankee. And even then, in Team Yankee, you might have some trouble against an Elefant. Front armor 16 is pretty scary. It's got a side armor of 7, so the side armor is good, but it's not as good as, say, a Tiger or a Tiger chassis with a side armor 8, IS-2 with a side armor 8, and then a top armor of 2, just like a Tiger as well. So it's going to be very hard to bombard these guys or even drop bombs on them to get them off the field. Very well armored vehicle for your points. So it is hit on a 4+, so it's counted as a veteran, if you will. So your shots even at the best opportunity are only hitting it 50% of the time, and that excludes range and concealment and all that stuff. Motivation wise, you've got a 4+ confident motivation, a self-propelled gun counterattack rating of 5+, so it doesn't counterattack as well, which is true for all of the self-propelled guns. All of the self-propelled guns have a counterattack penalty, any kind of assault penalty, they'll have it. They do have the Third Reich last stand rule, so their motivation is a 3+ on their last stand rule. Their skill is a veteran 3+, which is going to help them with stormtrooper blitzing, shooting scoots, things like that. And then they have the self-propelled gun assault rating of 4+, which means in close combat assault they squish enemies a little bit worse on a 4+ instead of their veteran 3+. So that's the basic ratings for it. Then we get into the speed. It is a tactical speed of 8 inches, so it is slower than a Tiger. Rightly so, with almost double the armor. Terrain dash of 12, cross country of 14, road dash of 16, but it does have a cross check of 3+, so it's not really hindered going into woods that much. Weapon wise, the Elefant has a 8.8 centimeter gun with a massive 48-inch range, rate of fire 2 halted, moving rate of fire 1, anti-tank 17, firepower 3+, and forward firing, which is the self-propelled gun thing that comes with it. So let's talk about this gun first. This gun is a beast of a gun, anti-tank 17. It's going to punch through anything the Allies can put on the table, even further on down the road when they get things like jumbos and stuff like that. It's going to be terrifying on the table. AT-17. 3+ firepower isn't the greatest. AT-17 means you're going to punch through everything, but a third of the time you're just going to bail it out instead of destroying it with a 3+ firepower. And you always roll those 1s and 2s when you need them the most, it seems like. So the Elefant, the range too is something to talk about. 48 inches even outranges things like Panthers and Tigers. So if you're going to be doing a red on red, these guys will outrange those other types of German heavy tanks quite nicely. Also, the Elefant, unlike the Ferdinand, has a machine gun, which is a standard rate of fire 3, anti-tank 2, 6 plus firepower, forward firing machine gun, which can help repel some infantry. Now, is it going to stop an assault if these guys are by themselves? Probably not. Together, these two would put out 6 machine gun shots. They'd have to get pretty lucky to get the 5 required to repel an assault. But if infantry is assaulting your elephants, something's probably gone wrong with your battle plan, right? So, what's an appropriate way to field these guys? I guess that comes down to your list preference. You probably don't want these guys supporting supporting a very expensive force. Something like a Tiger company or a Panther company is already investing most of its points in those very, very hardcore tanks. Something like a Panzer IV company or a Stud company could see these guys in support a little bit easier because your budget on your primary tanks isn't quite as big. Then you've got things like supporting infantry, which these guys would do quite well because of the weaknesses of the Elefant, which is a side armor of 7. I call it a weakness, but it's still pretty awesome, and pretty poor assault ratings. Supporting infantry, where you can have infantry prevent tanks and units from getting to the side, stop assaults from happening, could be a very good matchup. So you might see that there. Do I think that these are competitive? Probably not. It really depends on your matchup. If you have a wide open board with very little line of sight blocking terrain, these guys will just dominate the whole time. It's a little bit terrifying. If you have lots of terrain, a city battle, you're driving in, you're not going to get your value out of these points most likely. So it really is situational whether these guys are good. I would be inclined to say that the 30 points or the 29 points you'd spend on 2 of these could probably be spent on different units that give you more options. But there's going to be that time where the Elefant's just going to save your butt, just because you can't stop it. Things like even like smaller tanks like Stuarts can't hurt this thing at all. They can drive around it all day shooting. So it's going to be situational, and that's something true with Flames of War in general, and why these points can be, they're just a guideline. A 100-point army, a 15-point tank, really varies in its value dependent on so many things: the type of opponent, the terrain you're fighting. These are awesome, but if your opponent brings a light tank company, you were better off spending those 29 points on medium tanks or anti-tank guns, just because the rate of fire is not enough, and AT-17 is overkill against a lot of things. Another thing to consider too is if you're fighting like, say, a T-34 company where the armor is 6 on a T-34, AT-17 again is a massive overkill. AT-14 on your Panthers, on your Tigers, is more than enough. AT-11 on the Panzer IVs is pretty good against a T-34. So there you go. So again, you can field these guys as a support unit, and give or take the extra points, you might be able to squeeze it into your less expensive companies, like I said, medium tank companies, infantry companies, and the like. So ultimately, I can't really answer the question is it worth it for these tanks? Because, like I said, the situations vary. But one thing, it's a very iconic German tank, and a lot of players like that and want that. This is, these things are intimidating and awesome and perform really well on the battlefield, and they're just fun to play with. So, on that alone, I I would say, yeah, it's a cool unit. Please let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Have you guys used these in lists? How have they performed for you? Tournament players, what do you guys think of the Elefant? It's a big question mark in a tournament. I think in general play, these guys are a fun inclusion, but I'm not sure in tournaments if they would be good, or maybe just one would be good, but that remains to be seen. So I'd love to hear your comments on that, again, down in the comments below. We here at All Miniatures Great and Small would appreciate if you did give us a like and subscribe. Click that bell to receive notification when we publish new content. Also, check us out on Patreon. We have a Flames of War Patreon there, where patrons have access to a exclusive battle report every month. And we have a nice backlog of battle reports there already for your perusal if you join. Thanks for watching, and keep on wargaming.